my friend Kalpak Shah. Allow me to read. He's the principal architect. Simplistic, minimal design with careful selection of sustainable materials and precise details with local technique is extremely central to Kalpak's practice and philosophy. After earning Bachelor in Architecture from MMCOA, Pune University, India, is in 2010, he studied Masters in Advanced Architecture Design from SAC, Frankfurt, Germany in 2013. He also practiced as an architect with gurus like Christopher Benninger of CCBA Designs, Pune, Bijoy Jain of Studio Mumbai, India, between 2010 and 2015. After gathering such experience, he established his practice studio. Studio Course is the name of his company in 2016. Since the conception, the firm has been involved in diverse projects working design to more levels of innovation and perfection. The projects Veranda on a Roof and Tea House have won multiple international and national awards and have been published in worldwide magazines. Wow, that's amazing, Kalpak. Once again, his website is www.studio-course.com. www.studio-course, COURSE. A friend here is writing. Wonderful. So keep your questions also ready for this amazing gentleman. Straight away, how is your design related to sustainability, Kalpak?
So thank you so much for having me here. Once again, thank you so much for having me. When I was just founding the studio course, the idea was like to have a set of philosophy or some set of like a guideline things of how the work should be, what should be looked at, and so you start with projects and have this philosophy and the process in mind, and things start falling into place. The projects start falling into place once your ideology is set towards something. As we said, so it's simply along with sustainability, there's a lot other things also that come together while forming this studio course. So it's also about being simplistic in nature, having a minimal design discourse, contemporary design in that way. And sustainability is definitely a crucial core of the entire practice. It's with the materials, it's with the local techniques, it's also with what is really functional, what is really needed, trying to discard whatever is not needed at all. Uh, so that's I think like a big chunk of sustainability. If that idea, that house, that project is used for years and years together, in case if we are able to make it as timeless as possible, that in itself is a big sustainable achievement. And then there's of course with materials. So we are using a lot of teak wood, which is recycled from old vadas and those sort of things, and a lot of natural materials. So which would once the purpose is done, it would eventually go back to the surroundings, to the earth, those sort of things.
I'm curious about the international national award-winning project you had. What made it receive such awards and recognition? What was so special about it?
A lot of times people have asked me like what did you do to kind of get over there, that sort of thing. But my approach towards it was quite the other way actually. The idea was to do a good project and try to do it as good as possible. And so one of the key things that we do as a practice is we try to design everything around the project. We do the architecture, we do the interiors, I do the furniture. I've even designed the handles, the latches, the bolts that are going into it. All the things are very custom made for the project, for the client, for the site itself.
All sustainable, this project?
Yes.
Every material was also used sustainable material?
Yes, all the materials were also sustainable. A lot of things are so exactly. So what exactly is sustainability? Of course, there are like you can go around it, and then there's you still at that point. But yeah, most of the materials were reclaimed. The lightings used were made, and then very minimal lighting was used for those things. We did kotai and some local old traditional techniques, got them into a very contemporary format. We used some metals, so which would have much better life than, of course, plastics or
And everything
commercial
was
tiles and everything.
sourced out and recycled and upcycled. So
Absolutely.
that's a lot of process work. How about the contractors and the artisans that work with you? Are they comfortable creating such designs, or there's resistance? Because that's what I found. By the way, I've been an ex-architect designer. I won the national award in 1997,
Amazing.
and I faced some of the things, but then I stopped practicing it. Like, I do sustainable mindset.
Super.
So my
Even
question
better.
is that how to work with the artisans and contractors? Don't they resist? They want to work fast and get the result, and they just want the money and move on. How do you retain them, train them?
So I think this works both ways. It works top to bottom, and it also works bottom to top. So it's not one way of it. So even you need a client who is willing to look at people, who is willing to wait to do these things. So a lot of people get projects done in 2 months, 3 months, and things. And I've had a thing of it goes for a year at least. It's 1.5 years, 2 years, and it's happened like that for a lot of time. But eventually, client understands. If you're going to live in the house for 50 years, and if you hurry up and you make some wrong decisions, you're going to live with it for forever and ever. So might as well put good ideas and gather all the things right. So we even for artisans and craftsmen and carpenters, uh, generally I've been lucky to come across very good people, and for that also these guys are quite they have, in a way, they have masters in their own skill. It's very difficult to find such, and so like 1 in 100 would be able to do something that we are looking at. So even
Because creating something sustainable requires a lot of innovation and looking at that thing from a different angle and figuring out how it can be built into a usable, purposeful material,
right,
furniture or something.
absolutely.
So the artisans are comfortable, or you have to train them.
We have to train them for to a certain limit, and a lot of things we also learn from them. So there've been a lot of things. So I remember clearly for this staircase that we did, which was slightly in metal. It was anchored on one side, suspended on the other side, which was quite tricky. So in that thing, we had a common sketchbook in which I would sketch, and even the carpenter and the fabricator would sketch. So the fabricator has a certain knowledge of anchoring, but the carpenter knows better about the form, how that is going to be done, and I knew better about how the entire thing is going to come in together. But everyone had such good skills, details. A lot of things we did were very interesting. Like from uh, the idea was to make it as subdued as possible, so you kind of don't notice it at all.
So everybody was online, and
into
it's
it.
teamwork. Basically, architecture is all about teamwork. Whole sustainability is about teamwork. So you drew upon each other's expertise and skills.
Absolutely.
Great. One more question, and then we'll open the floor for. I think we have students also here. They would like to ask some questions. How do you manage to get international work, and how different or interesting it is working in Africa and Europe?
So we've been lucky enough to get some clients. I'm doing a project in Kenya in Africa, and I'm doing some furniture pieces, dining tables, chairs for another client based in UK. So that's been quite interesting. What I've really loved about it is some of the clients are very particular about the kind of detailing that we are doing, the handmade. The craftsmanship, the skills that we have. Somehow, sadly, that is like reducing a lot at our home itself. So a lot of people are not like preferring handmade stuff and things like that. And so one other thing also that I would wanting to talk about is like how the sustainability it works around a lot of pillars. Like it's got the economical aspect, it's got the social aspect, it's got a person who wants to make it. We provide with all the skill and everything. But the whole idea has been quite international. Like because I had won some international award that got me this client who was looking for to make his own house, and like since it could be easily available online, and like, so he bought 2-3 books himself. He read through the books, he understood what he himself wants, and then he started looking for a person who could provide something similar to that. And there's like really few people who are using these. So we're doing furniture which are totally handmade. We are not using any hardware. We are using a lot of traditional joineries. So even what material you're using, how is that supposed to be used, or how is that going to be so it's going to live for so long. So with teak wood, we've done a lot of like finger joints, 10 and mortise joints. There's lap and lap joints. So all these things have become rare in a way, but these enhance the life of the wood, the life of the project, the life of teak wood, the way it needs to be done. It needs polishing using natural oils. So we've done them oiled, and then we've done hand sanding and all of those things. So it becomes like a whole ecosystem that you're building up, and all of this process goes together into making that product. And the people then who have a keen eye for this kind of
I believe
search for it.
now we have our clients are also much aware. I remember when it started in 99, 96, the clients came with just a magazine and they said, okay, this is what we want. But now we have people who read things, who try to understand the value of doing something sustainable, try to understand how to collaborate with an architect and not just show up and say, okay, I demand this and I paid you, so please deliver. So it's joyful, I guess. It's nice to work with clients who are also aware.
Yes,
Is that your
absolutely.
experience?
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I think that it used to happen before with magazines. Now it happens with Pinterest and Instagram. Like
Instagram.
someone looks at it and
Yeah,
I
of
want
course.
this. But I would always advise, like, read to make yourself aware about it. Read so that you understand what is really good about it.
Yeah,
There's so many projects which look exactly like Zahadi has done in UK, and it looks same in Kolhapur.
but we don't
But
achieve
yeah,
that.
it just looks same from the outside, and there's nothing matching inside. Why she had done, why this has happened. There's no relevance at all.
Especially in India, we aspire a lot to become something,
Yeah,
rather than valuing what we have and building and trusting that what is our own heritage and our own materials, which is so diverse, and our artisans have so much wealth of knowledge. So thank you for keeping that tradition open, alive. Albert, thanks a lot. I'm going to
So much.
quickly open the floor, unless you want to say something more.
So I think this kind of does comprise a lot of things. One other thing maybe I'd like to speak about is even the economics that go behind things. So you understand what material it is, and I think sustainability can range from a really cheap, inexpensive thing to something very high-end, handmade, tailor-made for your thing. Sourcing some of the best materials and things. So the sustainability, in a way, I think ranges throughout, throughout, right from trash to something that is like one of the best pieces you would
Every
visit
aspect.
in a museum. So that good chair could also be made that beautifully, and you can even charge more about it. So make it like a business. Any of those things. Don't do just like for the passion of it, for the heck of it. I want to do that. Think of it into a more of an ecosystem sort of a thing. That okay, I want to do this. Let's see, who would be the right person to buy it. Let's see what profits could be made out of it. Let's see how it could be supplied everywhere else. Maybe and understand, like, are you into that mass things, or do you need a high production, or you want that expensive
So
handmade
matching
thing?
the design
So,
to the pocket as well as the environment and making it sustainable at all levels.
All-
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we are open to questions from the audience.
I know
curated
what
the whole.
So, my question is, I've read your profile and doing some amazing work. And one of the things that we wanted to sort of understand is that how sustainability is not just about the environment, right?
Mhm.
Like the economic side of things. Like if somebody is wanting to pursue it as a business, obviously it has to make like the business work. Salaries have to be paid, money has to be made. And then of course there's the social and the cultural side to it also, where we sort of in form of sustainability, I've met a lot of people who are actually restoring, old buildings, and that's also sustainability of sorts. So I just wanted to like sort of share some of your experience in terms of like what you think sustainability for you in your sort of field is all about and how you sort of pursue it.
Right. So one way to think about it, like don't think of sustainability as an as like you have to change your entire discourse to achieve it, that sort of a thing. It can be part of your practice, whatever you're practicing. If you're good at, let's say, products you're doing, a building you're doing, and sustainability can be a crucial part of it. It could be an added aspect sort of thing. Like let's say your focusing is making it like best square feet for value sort of a thing, and sustainability is also another part of it. You don't have to go all the way only for it. I don't know, I'm putting it properly. Like
maybe you want to share an example, or maybe take a minute to sort of figure out if there's an example you want to share from your experience.
Just a while before, Pawan was talking about this, that they got the railway salvaged timber that was from Europe, and then it was put over here, and sleeper wood, and then eventually it was on for trash, and they found it, and that became part of it. Like you don't have to necessarily see that it is around this radius or around that radius, because these things are so complex in a way that getting a packed water bottle across the continent is easier than putting a pipeline close by. So there are so many aspects going into this. Whatever work you're doing, I would say, like put your heart into it and look
I'm
at
not saying
different
that we
aspects.
should get those sleepers from Africa.
No, you could. I mean, if it is available for you, you use that as your sustainability driver. If that is not
Indian
available,
sleepers, we could get the Indian Railway to give us a sleeper.
no.
It's easier.
In case the European one is already there, use it. Like
It's already here and no one's using it.
Yeah, no one's using it. Use that.
Yeah, because I'm wondering how much carbon footprint there will be if we have to import them.
No, not specially to import for this purpose. Since it was there during the British times and things. Is
That's
there.
what you mean. It was already here.
It's already here. In case that is not there, you have some the gobar you're using for that.
Yeah.
If that is available. If that is not there, you have
Mud.
adobe, you have mud. So there are different aspects to achieve one thing.
Sustainability is you can look at it closer and see where to save something, where to reduce something, where to reuse something, and go a little slower. Don't go straight away in your mind and say, "Oh, I have this idea now. I must make it happen." That summary.
Okay, maybe, yeah. I think so. It's actually, in a way, it's such a complex thing. Also, like there's not a straight answer to it. Sometimes let's say you're designing a chair, and these are the materials available. These are the techniques available around you, and so many things are also like understand the global design. So stick to your principles, and sustainability as economics, as profit making, as your business. They're all parts to kind of build what you're building.
Yeah, think before you design. Pawan's question is for the camera audience. If you talked about, Kalpak talked about acquiring local materials, but if the artisans don't have the knowledge to use it, then what do we do?
And also techniques.
And the techniques, of course. Then what do we do?
So that's a very funny answer to this. So a lot of these techniques, rather, I learned from them. So more than me knowing these techniques and then teaching them, there are a lot of these techniques which they already knew. So I learned it from them as a primary source of my own learning. And then I had a couple of books. I've read a lot of things on Japanese traditional wood making, their joineries and those things. So I could learn into that, understand what's happening here in India. We've had a rich source of traditional local techniques, and then understand how you can blend these things together, and then eventually make a product.
What you're saying is that obviously we all know that anyone who's working with their hands has a better idea about what to do with it. A carpenter will know what to do, how to get you the result, what you're looking for. been my experience also. I'm sure that people here agree with that. But at the same time, you're seeing now where is he coming from, and can you take that same line of thought further with more access to internet and books and all, and you bring your knowledge to it, and becomes another collaborative experience. Am I
Absolutely.
putting
Yeah,
it
yeah,
right?
yeah. You're putting it much
Thank
better than me.
That's what I've been hired for. Sort of. Thank you.
So one of the artisans who does Koba flooring, that is, laying cement on the floor, that sort of a thing. So that used to happen, let's say, like 30-40 rupees per square feet. So in their own house, they were putting tiles because they thought tiles is much better. So it kind of happened this is like how you said, the farmer going into cities, that sort of a thing. But when we did a project, so some of these projects, the veranda and the tiles, so in veranda we used the same Koba flooring as the entire floor, even on the walls and even on the ceiling, and made it look superb. And we charged triple, than generally what it happens. So now suddenly this is like a more thing, more desired thing than tiles and then even other stones and things. So now we kind of again making it sexy. We are again making it making it more profitable for the artisans, for myself, and getting the ecosystem up in that way. So let's say in this, like how your friend went to farms to learn some things. Even if the farmers learn, like, okay, what is its value in the city, how they can make more money out of it, it becomes like round and round circle. So if this is cyclic, and if you understand how you turn it around, make it anti-cyclic, and make money and make your
So
living.
basically, what to summarize again is, we are looking at what is the core need then. Right? Out of this interaction and the dialogue you have with the artisan, they begin to realize that my core need is this collaboration, this being seen and heard and saying, oh, okay, what you have is valuable. Plus, you get to see that what they have is valuable. And this collaboration settles the anxiety of like, oh, I need to go to the city to do the same thing, which I'm getting it. Money is also coming, my work is valued, my talent is valued, my experience is valued. So, and the same for the architect who's coming from the city, let's say, and saying, well, I'm getting to learn something, I'm getting to get this traditional knowledge to the city, urban dwelling, and there's a synergy, a collaboration created that settles the issue. Am I
Absolutely,
summarizing it?
absolutely. So that's even for this fashion designer. What's his name? The famous, Sabyasachi. Yeah. So he also, like, he works closely with the the traditional craftsmen, and now they've learned that it's going to give like a big value to this. So they've they've set up their own factories, and they've gone big time into this. So it works both ways. It works both ways, and that synergy contributes. Even our
Fantastic.
carpenters,
That synergy is also a sustainable action, a sustainable move, and sustainable thought. And that we can highlight and think about what else can be synergistic. Any other questions? I don't see the 5-minute sign.
Yeah, I heard it. So she's asking, like, how do you start with sustainability? Like, is it just in you and then you just start off with it, or is there some other thing also? So as cliche as it sounds, yes. I mean, you do definitely need your own self motivation at a point, and you kind of need to believe it, like really believe it, not just for the heck of it. Like I like to live minimal. I like to have less things. I like to be simple in
Can
my
I ask
workflow.
why do you like it?
Maybe that has a lot of things, like with maybe childhood with my parents, grandparents. They've had both my maternal grandfather and the paternal grandfather. They used to wear the same clothes throughout the year. So I think those things have kind of been imbibing onto me in the different forms. What I've realized lately is you need to learn to understand yourself, understand your own personality. What is the kind of work that suits you? If this is not cup of your tea, you don't believe into it, don't get into this. Just go away, find yourself, look out. Understand yourself, what you are really looking at. Are you really looking? You want to only look out for money or things? Go behind it. Don't get into this. You want to make like a holistic thing of all the things kind of coming together, and you liking it, and then making a living out of it. Then go for it. Right?
We have liberal arts colleges for this reason, so you can try on different courses, see if they fit you before you put your whole life online. building it. So what Kalpak is saying, and thank you Vandita again for a lovely question. I think it all boils down to what do you at a deeper level need? What is your core value? If it meets that, then you can build any enterprise, any career around it, and it will work and also be much more nourishing, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, you're not coming home just from a job. You're coming home with the passion. You might even want to share it with the family. This is what I discovered. You're lit up all the time. So that becomes, that's my work actually. I do the work in that area to create that sustainable mindset. Who am I? What do I want to do? How do I find that out with optimal method and not go doing hundreds of workshops or spiritual retreats and whatnot? I use creativity, painting, dance and art and theatre to bring us in and come in touch with your creativity is where it tells you. So you summed it up beautifully that it's got to meet your personal needs somewhere. If it's satisfying you as a person, then it will satisfy you as an architect, as a designer, as a sustainable movement practitioner. I mean, actually, the answer is glaring in our face. If you found it easy to come here, then you don't need a sustainable life. I didn't find it easy. The roads are terrible. The people who had this wonderful idea, the organizer found it very difficult to put things together because no one's sponsoring this idea as such. So it's glaring in my face. But let's see what our friend Kalpak has to say.
I think if you have something you'd want to
No,
say.
no, I will go on. I can talk for 2 whole days. So don't get me started. You're on the spotlight.
No, you're right, absolutely. Like it's been there, it's there in the villages and all. If you can practice that here, perfect. Like you don't have to be proud about it or anything. That's what I'm saying. Like just make it like another aspect of your thing. If you're see the whole, there are a lot of aspects of the village life which have changed into the city life, right? So you're not living like that. The water, like these guys were talking about that. If you're able to have that direct tap water, do that. If you're like not spending unnecessarily, do that. Try not to be more materialistic. If you can do that, do it. But a lot of people are not doing that. So that's why so on this leftist movement is like, okay, let's try to get this back. But if you're already on that rightist side of if you're practicing all of that, nothing like it, that's good enough.
I can say the same thing in a little bit straightforward manner. Is like if you are thinking, why am I paying such a lot of money bill on electricity? Immediately check how much you are doing when are you at the signal keeping your car on? Are you using something excessively that you're paying? If it is pinching you, then you are contributing to that pinch. So it's not a movement out there, somebody doing. We are creating it. We are creating the excess. We are creating the problem, and now we have to fix the problem. And it's in our face. It's in our face. The prices are rising. The government is not so crazy. Little bit. Oh, I'm on air. but sustainability is not about a fancy idea out there that only few people are doing. Actually, few people are working hard at it. But it's pushing on everyone to look at it. We think. What does he hate about his job? The architect. Oh, he. Of course. Oh, nice.
So there are two things. I have a very controversial point of view on this. I think a lot of education is not really good. Around here, even abroad also, a lot of places, a lot of while we were studying, in my first year, I kind of wanted to leave architecture. Because a lot of things, lot of exercises I found were really stupid in a way. We had to gather some things on a paper. It kind of didn't make sense. No one knew what you're making. It's fine if at times you don't know what you're making, but
our education system everywhere in the world doesn't prepare you for life.
For life,
doesn't prepare you for the reality you're going to face. Then you're like, oh, fish out of water. Suddenly you have to learn everything.
Right. So rather in this case, I thought like after learning, I had to like really spend 1 or 2 years studying how architecture has been practiced all over in India, how it used to be done before, what's happening all over the world. And then I think I had to spend 2 years to de-learn a lot of things that I learned for the 5 years.
Fantastic.
So I think rather I spent more time in doing that. And I have a very good close friend Arjun over here who's not studied architecture, but he practices architecture much better than most other
Arjun's here?
friends that yeah, than most other like graduate architectural guys
So
who hold
can
a
I
degree.
say that you guys got into self-study?
Yes, self-study. I think learn if you can. If you've learned rubbish things, then try to de-learn and then
De-learn
you
and
know,
relearn. So don't
relearn
get
what it
frustrated.
was.
I think the Pavan and my forte is also in that unschooling, homeschooling, self-learning journey. I'd stopped sending my son to school when he was 7. So now he's 14. And so learning and you're saying de-learning. De-learning is a process
Yes.
before relearn.
Yes.
So you have to give yourself the time to say, okay, this doesn't work for me, that doesn't work for me, that. You have to keep your own journal and your documentation of the journey.
Yeah. So if you're not getting a good architectural school to study, it's okay. Like
It's okay.
it's okay. Go through it and then de-learn yourself.
Because you might open
Because
one.
yeah, if you can do that even better, like how Pawan has done. If that
Pawan
also
has
doesn't
done.
happen, watch and learn from things and then just start practicing. That is
Yes.
one thing.
So that frustration is very healthy and I can vouch for it. I've been through it and created quite a new things. So
Right.
Pavan is here who has created DLRC along with Ajay and Mona, and so taking charge of your own knowledge of what you want to learn is your responsibility, even if you have a good college. Even the college will say the same thing. Yeah. And what is the
I
worst
think,
part?
that was even a better question. So I think rather inspiration for me has come from a very weird place. Like most of people have inspiration from things. I think inspiration for me came from frustration. So if I'm frustrated about like like there's too much of hotspot somewhere happening, that drove me to become simple. So so even to the previous question,
Wow.
I don't know how that happened. So I don't know why I was like trying to be minimal or simplistic. I think the founding ground for that came from frustration because I don't like this. So it kind of it made me like the opposite of it. So it works different for different people. For me, frustration has worked a lot. Like I'm not liking this. Try to rectify this. Suddenly it's become so much better than
Yeah.
mostly like what other practices or the average things are
Yeah.
doing. Just try to do that and yeah.
Yeah, the fantastic cure and reward of frustration. Don't go to a therapist as such. This is not a medical advice, but don't go to immediately to someone. Look and say, how can I meet this frustration with my honesty? What do I not like, and what can I do about it? You might be starting a whole new enterprise and building a business by asking just a simple question when you're next time frustrated, which you could be as soon as you hit the road.
And then yeah, and then you have a great relation with your family, with your spouse or parents or kids and things, and then those things also become like a that other the half cycle of all the things that other part then work.
What you're
So
saying
have a
is that-
healthy your other than work life,
Yes.
and then all those things also. So it
But the very thing, the frustration itself, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that makes you become more human. That you are vulnerable then, and you go to your family, your wife or father and mother, and say, okay, this is really not working for me. They get to see the difficulty you're facing, collaborate, step in with you, and that creates the synergy of your the soil that you're going to stand on. That family is going to support you, supporting them. But because you're human, because you're vulnerable and saying, you know what, मेरे से नहीं हो रहा है, and then someone gets a chance to step in.
मेरे को ये
We
नहीं
are taught
करना
the
है.
exact opposite.
yeah.
And I'm a strong proponent of that. That let's become more humane and human. And it's okay to, try to the right people and create their listening. Help them understand you. Don't expect they will understand you. Help them. That's what I'm looking for. Can you be there?
Yeah, and I've been lucky with having a great spouse who's here to support me and
Awesome.
parents and kids.
I'm wondering why she's
So-
smiling so much. Now I know.
So yeah, that aspect is equally important. Then so because life is as a whole, no? Like you just don't like only work towards one thing.
Right, right.
Make it a whole.
So that's a
thing and
sustainable
then,
lifestyle,
So,
then.
sustainable lifestyle.
Then you're bringing work home is not a big burden, probably. I'm not sure, but at
Yeah.
least then you're taking home to work also. It's like, okay, we are all learning and growing from each other, making requests that okay, now I need to go. Can you please join us for dinner? Enough of this. Just a balance comes in because you're open to possibilities. That's fantastic, and my friend Vandita has disappeared. Anybody else who's come in just now? I saw quite a few people come in. Do you want to ask anything to Kalpa?
Right now, currently. So what I used to hate about kind of inspired to design these things. So yeah, that was the hating thing. And
The point was quite clear that because it was frustrating, then he decided his design also should be minimalist so he can enjoy the process. Otherwise, he's going to go for therapy. But because I work with children all my life, so I always love children's wisdom. That's something I've worked with children. That's not happened. But it's been a very rewarding journey that we are thriving now within 7 years, less than 7 years. We are in a mode of, we just intuitively know, we are able to ask difficult things to each other, encourage each other. Even if it is not possible, we are able to sit in presence with it and say, "Okay." So it's very rich experience being at home. Coming out is difficult.
I also wanted to ask, what about all the teaching aspects? Like, if you're teaching him physics, you're teaching him biology, mathematics.
Unschooling doesn't work like that. Unschooling is super child-centric, super duper. That's why it's very scary that you wait till the child says, "I want to learn this," or he shows some interest, and then you make those tutors available, or if you know you want to teach, you can teach. It's up to you. You want to even tell him, "Please study on your own." I don't know how to teach you. I can even hire a tutor. That's fine. Many people have done different models, so you're kind of customizing what lifestyle suits you by being honest to each other and being vulnerable and saying, "Look, अपने पास तो funding है इतना या whatever, you know. I don't have time to look for tutors for you. Can you call them? Can you ask the community?" So it makes you want to come out to each other more openly. Child-centric also means, like for example, I'll tell you that in pandemic, he suddenly decided after 3-4 years कि अभी तो मुझे online जाना ही नहीं है. Suddenly, on the day pandemic hit, he didn't even know pandemic is it. And he just got it, he was 10 years old and he said, "I don't want to go online anymore." Okay, inside I was like, very good. But then he got bored after a few days saying, "I'm getting bored," but he still didn't go online. I didn't say anything. He said, "You go online then." But no, I don't want to go. So he said, "What you want to do? Let's get bored together." So I also sat and told him how many times I get bored and how I get bored and what boredom looks like to me. And, you know, he's just being vulnerable. Suddenly he said, "I want to draw. I'm an artist, I paint every day." So okay, drawing book, everything is there. So he started drawing religiously every day for the next 3 months. And he drew only same kind of thing, very light dragon worlds. Because he used to play all those Minecraft games and all. So he drew very pencil work of dragon worlds, doing some dragon things happening and on a castle and all. Only once he came to ask me to show how to make a clock. Then he is doing this on his own, and I'm seeing for the first time I'm learning because I work with children and I'm seeing how diverse things they make every day, something different. And I'm seeing a very well-adjusted mind will make the same thing every day. And I had to learn that all this diversity is just your neurosis trying to find some rest. But if mind at rest, like architecture, you'll make the same thing till you complete and exhaust the idea. You will go back to the drawing again and again till you've exhausted all possibilities. After that, he just next he said, "Get me a drawing tablet. I need to make animation. I want to learn animation." Taught himself animation. This year, early this year, that is 2022, he said, "I have decided I'm going to be an animator." After asking a lot of people, "Kitna isme kya possibilities hai? Oh, will I earn well? What is the industry looking?" All online search, everything he's doing, asking his friends, everything. I didn't have to do anything. I only asked him, "Do you really want to be animated? It's hours and hours of sitting. Are you ready for that kind of thing?" Yeah. So then he's signed up to study IGCSE 10th standard. Because he's clear he wants to do that. So I want to do masters in animation. Then he's now able to study, right? Because now it's not about just study बाद में देखेंगे क्या बनने का. Now he already knows what he wants to do. So it's easy for him to study. And it's only those 5 subjects. He doesn't have to study 20 other unnecessary subjects. And that also he's deciding. One month he tried history and said, "I don't like it so much." Or then one day he tried some other subject and said, "Well, I want to try another one." He's got 2 years to pass 10. So it's become more easy on yourself. And more time you get to see whether you really want this. Whether sign up कर दिया, पैसे दे दिए, अभी तो जाना पड़ेगा. Even if you don't like it. So you see there are many benefits like that. It may not be easy, but now it's easy. Let us know if she's come. Does that, Aditi, answer your question?
Anything more you'd like to ask?
Anyone else? Okay, my name is Deepali Parmar. I am 50 and I have a little bit of a setup called the Creative Cure. I paint. I am a performer. I had a performance here, wonderful performance yesterday. And I write and I speak about the topic of creating a sustainable self, sustainable mindset, and a sustainable life wherever you are. What that looks like is starting from where you are. And in short, it looks like first just allowing yourself to be who you are. And that's work, okay? It's not like sitting and meditating saying, I allow myself. It's work. If you look into it and really work on it and say, I really have to allow myself. So what I have to do. So once you allow and stop all that fixing, demanding to a large extent, just look at all that fixing, demanding and going and efforting, then you come closer to what you really want. Why? Begin to look at that, creates the sustainable self, a mindset. You're in touch with what you want. It's actually very clear and very little. And it's very intimate also. Like, I want peace. Whichever form, I want harmony. But that doesn't mean you're going to negotiate and cut short. Like yesterday, I also have to stand up strong at some point. That's my version of creating harmony also, because I didn't say I want for everybody. So I want for me. Then it may radiate to someone else and someone else. It's authenticity. So it begins from creating that mindset and that lifestyle. So I'm lucky that I got the right community of unschoolers and some very, very close friends who are on the same path. So we have some support and I could bounce a lot of ideas with them. Pawan is one of them who runs TLRC. And then through that, now we have been living that life for nearly 8-9 years. But I found that I was built for this since I was a little girl. I would question everything. But I didn't have the word. I didn't have the ideology or the philosophy then. So I bumped around. The minute I found the word unschooling, I found the word HSP, highly sensitive or highly perceptive people, it all brought things together under the one umbrella. And now if someone gives me some other label, बहुत charismatic ho, it's okay to wear it. बहुत जिद्दी हो, it's okay to wear that because I know who I am, or what path I'm on, or what I'm researching on or trying to uncover. Then it's easier to step into different realities and say, okay, we'll try this on for a while. Does that explain? Yeah?
And looking within is always more difficult than just looking outside. Like trying to understand yourself, what you exactly want.
Yeah, but that's what you're talking about, Kalpak, is a very isolatory spiritual practice which is actually rooted in patriarchy. When you're doing it together, like sustainable movement is a together movement. You can talk about those things with others. It's a practicing dynamic spirituality. It's not a sitting alone, isolation and introspecting. You can talk about this is introspection, what we are doing. Right? It's vulnerable, it's open because the same question you have, I have. And we're listening to each other. So that's another thing I do is the listening circle where we can just practice listening non-judgmentally. Just what does it look like? It actually healed all my problems, this whole listening non-judgmentally. I used to have a terrible IBS and it healed that because someone just let me speak and hear me without interrupting, without getting worried, without giving advice, without nothing. Just receiving and full attention. No therapist, a friend. So the power of just being present changed everything. So introspection doesn't have to be, and it was created for different times, that kind of introspection. Sit down, be in isolation, nothing wrong with it, you can still do that. But that is the only model if you're looking at them, that's not, it's no longer, it's out of date.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean that you have to like sit alone or do something.
Well, I think that's what people think, right? Introspection मतलब अकेले करना पड़ेगा, right? I know my people.
No, at times like I found something about work, about life in middle of working something else.
You got an insight.
Middle of you just get that insight anytime.
That's an insight. You get an aha moment like something clicked. Two dots join.
And though that things talk about you, about what you want to do and things, it talks much more than like if you
those are the things you must harness.
Yeah. And it's happened a lot of times in toilet also. You know, it happens anywhere. Sometimes you're riding.
Yes, yes.
It happens.
Are you able to capture those aha moments? Are you able to really note them? They're very sublime, they're very fragile, they just come and go. We don't, because we don't have a culture of valuing what comes out of you. मेरे मुंह से आया तो हाँ दिवाली है, it makes sense. क्यों तुम्हारे अंदर से भी वही चीज आ रही है, but you will not make note of it. Actually, only what comes from you is useful to you. I can only be a sounding board to some extent, and I'm a pretty good one at that because of my gift of intuition and owning it. I can be present and love being present to people. But only the one that comes from you, the aha moment you have, is your master key. You'll have to have all these master keys to make the whole lock. The lock has actually got many, many keyholes from all sides. So don't lose those aha moments, capture them, those that come from you, even if there's a little bit of spark it gives you, and this idea was like, okay, take note of it. It's not silly. A writer will tell you, even the smallest thought, they might be important. They will write down everything that sparks them. So value yourself. And we live in interesting times because when you're all overwhelmed with this internet and so much activity happening and all, it pushes you further into that place where only you can meet yourself. So it's a very interesting time. So you raise your consciousness much faster. You don't really have to go and meditate for some 20 years or do retreats and nothing. You can get back to life, start living, and it's right there for you. I'm really getting hot on this topic. I don't know if we have got the next speaker here. No, has gone. She hasn't come. Has the speaker come? Anyway, anyone else wants to ask anything?
Any more questions for Dipali?
Yeah. My question is like, I have a nephew. Don't go to school. I'll teach you something else.
It has to come from the child. So your first step will be to ask him, does he really like going to school, and what does he feel about if he didn't go, what does he feel? Because the child's own insecurities are attached to it. He's used to that environment. Even if it's not working, we're used to it. Comfort is more important than success or happiness. So our first spending enough time just being present and listening to his anxieties about it and resting your anxieties in those. So your healing is occurring with him then. That what you didn't get, he'll get while you give it to yourself. But you are getting it when he is talking. So, yeah, I hear you that ये तकलीफ हो सकती है और ये बहुत, I hear you. Receive him, listen to him. And several times, एक sitting में नहीं होगा. Till he comes on his own, and or he may not. He may feel empowered and say, I will manage it. So there's no fixed outcome. By the way, schooling and unschooling is not about going to school or not going to school. It's the attitude of parenting. Like now my son is doing the studies and is hiring tutors, and he may also go to PLRC and do a regular schooling. He wants to do on his own. I'm not saying don't forget it, our life is very comfortable now. But he wants to do, right? I have to maintain the unschooly attitude. The attitude of inquiry, meeting him where he is, meeting myself together, being vulnerable, being empathy comes before knowledge, valuing togetherness or connection over understanding and communication. So all these are the values of unschooling. They can be practiced anywhere, anytime with anyone. I'm unschooling you right now. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah.
Thank you, and I understand the anxiety you're going through. Totally, I've been there completely. Thank you. Guest has come. All right, thank you for this wonderful round. I was looking for this, and I love that it naturally came about.